Hi, I'm Kai. Welcome to the first official episode of my YouTube series where I talk about stuff that I want to talk about. Food is really awesome. It sustains us, it provides us our life pretty much. It comes in all different flavors and shapes and all these different textures. It's really just an awesome thing that we have. Nothing hits like eating a cold pizza at night or maybe a bowl of cereal at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's really just fascinating how much food affects our daily lives. It determines whether we live, it determines our mood, it determines our weight. But usually, one of the most fascinating things about food is just what people consider food. Like here in America, for instance, we have hamburgers, hot dogs, and microplastics. And to me, that stuff is pretty normal, but to someone from another country, those could be like the weirdest foods somebody could possibly eat. For an American like me, though, one thing I definitely find weird is eating bugs. I will never understand how somebody looks at one of those little disease-ridden things and say, scrumdiddlyumptious. It just grosses me out. Like when I see a cockroach on the floor, I don't think, that thing would be really good fried with salt on top. But for some other people, that would be a normal thought to have about such an animal. With that said, though, I will say I'm not the type of person to not try something just because it looks or sounds gross to eat. I mean, if push came to shove, I would try one of those little grub things that they sell in those Korean markets. Those actually look kind of good because you can't really see all the buggy details on them. But one thing I think I'll absolutely never try is something like cow tongue or cow liver. Just anything from a cow that's not in a burger, basically. I've heard people talk about eating cow eyes and cow tongue and cow ears, just every weird part of a cow, and it never really made sense to me. Like, that doesn't even seem appetizing, and I feel like those wouldn't have a lot of meat in them in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the tongue has a lot of meat, but it's a tongue. Like, would that really have any good flavor to come out of it? I mean, like, when I eat my food, I don't want it to taste me, so yeah, that's a hard pass. The only circumstance that I would eat that in is if somebody didn't tell me what I was eating when they were serving it to me. Because who knows? It might be good, but I'm not going to try to find out on purpose. Despite all that, though, there is one weird thing that I would like to try, honestly, and that is frog legs. Everything I've heard about people eating frog legs has been overwhelmingly positive, and I heard that they taste a lot like chicken, and I really do like chicken, so I'm definitely willing to try something else that, tastes like chicken. I think the weirdest food that I have had, though, probably has to be calamari. But I actually like calamari a lot. Whenever I go to a restaurant that serves it, I always make sure to get it because it just actually tastes so good. And I don't know if this happens to other people, but despite the fact that it tastes really good, every time I eat it, I get like a weird kind of headache. I don't know if that's just me or if that's like a calamari thing, but either way, it's worth it every time because it just tastes so good. But you know what? There are a lot of foods that taste really, really bad. No one will ever convince me that vegetables taste any good. No matter how old you are or what you put on it, they just taste bad. No matter how you try to spin it. Despite how similar they are to Hitler, I respect vegans because they're able to scarf that stuff down all the time, and I just don't know how they do it. The only time vegetables have been tolerable to me is when they try to imitate meat. When I eat those Impossible meals from the frozen packages at Walmart, they actually taste decent. Very much not as good as, the real thing, but they're all right. But that's literally it though. In any other case, they're literally just terrible. Though I will admit there are some vegetables that I tolerate, like broccoli for instance. I can eat them and I don't, gag at them or anything, but they're still vegetables in the end. But one thing I will always stand on for 100% certain is that humans are not supposed to eat carrots. First of all, they are literally the root of the plant they're supposed to be. I don't understand how somebody took the plant out of the ground, looked at the root, and said, "Oh, that looks delicious. Let me put this in a soup or something." It's disgusting. It is the most disgusting vegetable. It's the most disgusting food. It's the most disgusting edible thing that I've ever put on my tongue. It's like if the word scam was edible. That would be carrots. There's only one other food that I despise in a way similar to carrots, and I know it's gonna make a lot of people upset, probably whole countries. But I've never been able to gain an affinity for beans. I tried my absolute hardest to try to like beans. I've had it in several different ways. I talked to several different people about, how I should eat it or what I should eat it with. And I tried all those things and every time it just tastes like a bunch of dirt. I don't know what else to do. I will give this to beans though. I don't hate them as much as carrots, and although I do despise them, I can eat them. I think they're tolerable as long as you can't taste them. Yeah, it sounds kind of dumb, but what I mean by that is if you're gonna put beans in a dish, don't make it a separate part of the dish. Put it inside of the other food or whatever you're making so that, it kind of blends in with everything else at the very least. Otherwise, I'm not just going to eat that pile of dirt on my plate. I'm going to move on though before I get canceled by the entirety of Mexico. Speaking of controversial food takes though, I really like seafood. Shrimp to be specific. I feel like I can understand why people wouldn't like seafood, though. I mean, I feel like the idea of eating a fish is kind of strange. I feel like they're just something that wouldn't taste good. Yet they do to me. One thing I know for certain, though, is that a lot of people, they don't hate seafood, they're just allergic to it. I mean, think about it. Way, 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 way back in ancient times, the easiest things they could catch was probably fish, I would assume, and all the cultures had fish in their diet. So it kind of doesn't make sense to me that so many people are allergic to seafood, much less like the food itself. I feel like it's ingrained in human nature to like eating fish, but whatever. That also makes me wonder who was the first person to eat a lobster? I mean, in fact, who was the first person to eat a lot of different foods? I mean, like eggs, for instance. That had to be the weirdest thing. Just seeing like a chicken's egg, which is like part of their stomach, just outside of their body. Somebody looked at that and said, "Hmm, yeah, yeah, I, I could put that in my mouth. It'd probably taste good." I mean, granted, it does taste delicious, but what was the thought process going into that? Like, I would never touch anything that came out of an animal's anywhere from inside of them. Like right after watching it come out, that's just weird. And I don't know if it counts as food necessarily, but I know we've all thought about the first person to drink a cow's milk. He was looking at those udders and was just like, "Man, that baby calf might be onto something." And just started going ham. And, now we have milk today, I guess. That's not even the weirdest thing though. I think the weirdest thing that people have eaten is probably got to be dogs. I can't imagine just looking at a cute little baby puppy and my first thought is sautéing it. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. I get eating a chicken. They're kind of ugly and annoying, but a little baby puppy, those big cute eyes and the fluffy fur. Come on. Speaking of cultural foods, though, I want to give a shout out to some of my favorite types of food from different cultures. Number one, I definitely got to give it to quesadillas. They are simply the most beautifully designed, well crafted, and overall delicious pieces of art that I've ever gotten to eaten. To eat, to excuse my toddler grammar, but anyways, another food I want to give a shout out to is definitely gotta be orange chicken. Orange chicken has been with me through thick and thin. It always comes in clutch. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. It doesn't matter what you're really having it with. It's just gonna taste good. Orange chicken is something so special, and I love it so much. Another awesome one has got to be pasta for sure. Shrimp pasta to be specific with Alfredo sauce. My parents used to make shrimp pasta all the time, and every time they made it, I would actually get so excited because that would be the one thing that they cooked that I would like actually be super hyped for because it just tastes so good. Something about it. I think it may just be the Alfredo sauce for the most part, but man, it's just so good. And last but certainly not least, I gotta give it to wow, what is it called? Jollof rice? Jollof rice? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but anyway, it's a Nigerian dish, and I had it with goat meat, and it tastes so freaking good. I recommend it to anyone who's never tried goat meat before or who's never tried jollof rice before. Either way, no matter what you eat with it, it's gonna taste good. It's so delicious. And I had it with fufu once. I gotta say, I don't really like fufu that much, but it all came together in such a beautiful way. It made everything taste good in the end. But enough about all that little boy talk. Let's discuss the things real men talk about. Dessert. I don't know who had the idea to first put sugar in any kind of food, but they deserve every kind of award any human could ever get. M&Ms, Swedish fish, gummy worms, Reese's, PCs, cake, cake, cookies, ice cream. It's all just so beautiful. I think it speaks volumes the facts that to bake something you have to add so many ingredients and you have to, kind of perfect how much ingredients you put, and it's really just a real genuine work of art to see a piece of cake or a batch of cookies, really anything that involves any kind of baking. It's something special. And then when you get to eat it, oh man, it's just the best thing ever. Like I was saying earlier, food affects our mood. And let me say, I don't think I've ever seen anyone eat sweets and be sad after. They're such an enlightening thing. I don't understand how it works, but it's such an awesome thing to see how sugar-filled foods just make everyone feel better. I mean, maybe not physically, but certainly emotionally. And it's always something to look forward to. It's always the last part of the meal, which I always really enjoy. You know, you get to have the meal and it's nice and all, but you're really just thinking about the dessert the whole time. It's something that brings people together. It's just a really nice thing to think about. Speaking of last part, I'm going to end this video right here. But before I completely end it, I just want to say thank you for watching all the way through. And I hope that you continue to watch all my videos. I'm at risk of going homeless anytime soon. So I would really appreciate it if you supported my videos in any way you can, whether that be by subscribing or liking or just engaging with it by commenting or sharing. Any of that would be really awesome, and I'd appreciate it greatly. Comment down below a food you really love or have a special connection with. That's all for today. I've been Kai. Goodbye.